Hey guys, tonight we're doing something very bold, very brave, and very lit. We're going to talk about a normal day in the ancient world. Not a battle, not a coronation, not a dramatic poisoning at a banquet, just a day. A quiet one, the kind where nothing historically important happens, but everyone is still deeply uncomfortable. So dim the lights. Put the phone face down. Unclench your jaw and let S gently drift backward in time to a world where alarm clocks didn't exist, but back pain absolutely did. Imagine the sun coming up, not because it's beautiful or inspiring, but because there are no curtains. Your house is basically a mud rectangle, and the sun does whatever it wants. This is how ancient people woke up. No snooze button. No scrolling, just immediate awareness that you are alive, sore, and responsible for surviving another day. Let's begin somewhere very old, somewhere dusty, somewhere that smells faintly of grain and regret. We're in ancient Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, which sounds poetic until you realize it mostly means flooding, mosquitoes, and clay tablets everywhere. A normal person wakes up early, not because they're productive, but because sleeping late is not an option when your mattress is a pile of reeds and your roof leaks ambition but not water. You stretch slowly because if you pull something, there is no physical therapy. There is just being injured forever. Breakfast is simple. Bread, always bread. Bread that is dense, dark, and emotionally heavy. Sometimes dipped in beer. And yes, beer for breakfast is normal here, because the water is questionable and beer is safer, weaker than modern beer, and considered basically a health drink. Think of it less like a craft IPA and more like fermented sadness with calories. You eat quietly. Talking this early would require energy. Also, everyone lives very close together, so someone is always listening, and gossip travels faster than the Euphrates in flood season. After eating, you get to work. There are no hobbies. There is no finding yourself. You already found yourself. You're a farmer, or a potter, or a scribe if you're really lucky and enjoy wrist pain and memorizing hundreds of tiny wedge shapes. If you're a farmer, you're immediately dealing with crops that may or may not survive the week. You check irrigation canals. You argue with a neighbor about water rights. This argument has been happening for 40 years and will continue long after both of you are dead. It's tradition. If you're a scribe, congratulations. You sit indoors. You write things down. Mostly taxes, mostly complaints. Occasionally a prayer asking the gods to please stop ruining everything. You press symbols into wet clay, knowing this tablet might outlive you, which is comforting in a deeply bleak way. Time passes slowly. There are no clocks. The sun just sort of moves, and you decide when it feels like later. Lunch is more bread. Maybe onions. Possibly dates if you're feeling wealthy or reckless. Meat is rare. Not because it doesn't exist, but because eating it means something significant has happened, Like a festival or a goat has personally offended someone. People work until the heat becomes unbearable. Then there's a pause. Not rest. Just slower suffering. You sit in the shade. You drink more beer. Someone complains about the gods. Someone else says it's because someone didn't perform a ritual correctly. Everyone nods because that sounds right. Now let's gently float over to ancient Egypt, where the Nile decides everyone's schedule and absolutely no one argues with it. A normal Egyptian day also starts early. The sun rises, the birds make noise, and the Nile exists, which is always the main character. Houses are simple. Furniture is minimal. Privacy is theoretical. Breakfast again involves bread. This is a theme. Sometimes honey if you're lucky. Sometimes fruit. Always bread. Teeth are already worn down from grit in the flour, so chewing is more of a suggestion than a requirement. Work depends on the season. If the Nile is flooding, you're not farming. You're building something for the state. Possibly a temple. Possibly a tomb. Possibly a very large pile of stones. Someone important once stacked aesthetically. Despite popular belief, most workers are not slaves. They are paid. In food. Which is great, because that's what you are going to eat anyway. The pay is fair, the work is exhausting, and the sun is extremely confident. If you're a craftsperson, you carve, paint, or build with remarkable precision, knowing that mistakes are not just mistakes, but potentially disrespectful to the gods. No pressure. Just eternal judgment. Lunch happens when it happens. More bread, some vegetables. Fish, if you live near the river, it smells. Everything smells. This is normal. People talk quietly about neighbors, about officials, about how Pharaoh is divine, but also, interestingly, very distant. Someone mentions an omen. Someone else shrugs. Omens are common. Panic is tiring. Children run around doing chores. There is no concept of childhood as relaxation. Kids are small adults with worse balance. They fetch water. They watch animals. They learn trades by being nearby and not dying. As the sun lowers, work slows. Not because you're done, but because your body has reached its daily limit and is negotiating terms. Dinner is similar to lunch, which was similar to breakfast. Consistency is comforting. At night, people gather. Stories are told. Not dramatic ones, familiar ones. Stories you've heard since you were small. The gods, the river, the time something strange happened, but then everything went back to normal. These are not cliffhangers. These are verbal blankets. Eventually, sleep. On mats. On the floor. With insects. Dreams are important here. Dreams might be messages from the gods, or they might be your brain processing bread. Now, let's drift gently westward to ancient Greece, where people are thinking a lot, but also still eating bread. A normal Greek day begins with light. Homes are clustered. Streets are narrow. Someone is already arguing, and it's not even philosophical yet. Breakfast is modest. bread, olives, wine mixed with water, because drinking unmixed wine is considered barbaric, and no one wants that reputation. Even this early moderation is a social value. Except when it isn't. Men head out to work or the agora. The marketplace is loud, dusty, and full of opinions. Politics happens constantly. Everyone has a take. Not everyone should. If you're a citizen, you might attend discussions, vote, or listen to someone explain why everything would be better if people just listened to him specifically. Philosophy is in the air. So is body odor. If you're not a citizen, you work. A lot. Slaves, women, and foreigners keep everything functioning while citizens debate ideals. This imbalance is not lost on everyone, but it is deeply normalized. Lunch is light. Greeks don't like heavy midday meals. It interferes with thinking, or arguing, or both. So you snack and continue on. Afternoons stretch, craftsmen hammer, teachers instruct, students memorize poetry while wishing they were somewhere else. Physical training happens because the body is important, but only the right kind of body. As evening comes, people return home. Dinner is the main meal. Bread again. Vegetables. Cheese. Fish or meat if available. Wine flows more freely now, mixed but generous. Conversation turns reflective. Stories. Complaints. Observations about life. Someone quotes Homer. Someone else misquotes Homer. No one checks. Finally, sleep. Dreams are discussed in the morning. Bad dreams are concerning. Good dreams are suspicious. Neutral dreams are ideal, and as night settles over the ancient world, everything grows quieter. Not peaceful, just quieter. Tomorrow will be the same bread. Work, sun. Small worries. Familiar rhythms. No epic moments. No statues. Just people living, slowly, carefully, hoping the gods are busy elsewhere. And honestly, that's probably enough excitement for one day. We'll continue drifting through ordinary ancient lives very soon. Just let your mind wander. The past isn't going anywhere. Thanks for watching.